Begin by offering you the congratulations of the United States on your election to the high post of President of the General Assembly. By your past distinguished services to this organization, you have earned our confidence and respect. We wish you every success.
The United States wholeheartedly welcomes the admissions into the United Nations of the newly independent states of Africa and the state of Cyprus. Their achievement of independence represents a dramatic expansion of freedom. This strikes a responsive note in the hearts of people of the United States, for it is less than 200 years ago that the United States achieved its own independence. We are confident that the admission of the new states today marks the beginning of a long and fruitful collaboration of these countries in the work of the United Nations. As one of their new partners, we extend to them our warmest welcome.
A more special salute to one of the new members. I may be so loud, sir, because that new member state consists mainly of Greek nationals. In my capacity as representative of Greece, I salute with deep emotion the admission of Cyprus into this organization. I wish to salute the affirmation, the assertion of its international personality. Excellent cooperation in the internal government between the Greek and the Turkish community furnishes a proof of the spirit of international cooperation which will characterize, I am persuaded, the acts of the new young republic of the Eastern Mediterranean. To the Republic of Cyprus, to all the new states of the great African continent, I wish, in behalf of Greece, a happy independent life.
Is a contradiction. A second danger which ought to be dealt with in early negotiations is posed by the growth and prospective spread of nuclear weapons stockpiles. To reverse this trend, I propose that the nations producing nuclear weapons immediately convene experts to design a system for terminating, under verification proceedings, all production of fissionable materials for weapons purposes. If the USSR will agree to a cessation of production of fissionable materials for weapon purposes, some production facilities could be closed without delay. The United States would be willing to match the USSR in shutting down major plants, producing fissionable materials one by one under international inspection and verification. The proposal in Berlin continues to disturb us deeply. Another instance, though of special concern to the United States, the shooting down of an American aircraft last July 1st over international waters, the apparent killing of 4 of its crew members, and the imprisonment of 2 others on trumped-up spy charges as a shocking affront to the right of all nations to peaceful passage on and over the high seas. By its veto in the Security Council, the Soviet Union prevented a full investigation of the facts of the case. But these facts still demand to be heard as a proper matter for the consideration of an impartial tribunal. The generating force behind a successful United Nations must be the noble idea that a true international community can build a peace with justice if only people will work together patiently in an atmosphere of open trust. in urging progress toward a world community, I cite the American concept of the destiny of a progressive society. Here, in this land, in what was once a wilderness, we have generated a society and a civilization drawn from many sources. Yet, out of the mixture of many peoples and faiths, we have developed unity in freedom, a unity designed to protect the rights of each individual while enhancing the freedom and well-being of all. And disease. We of the United States will join with you in making a mounting effort to build a structure of true peace, a peace in which all peoples may progress constantly to higher levels of human achievement. The means are at hand. We have but to use them with a wisdom and energy worthy of our cause. I commend this great task to your hearts, to your minds, and to your willing hands. Let us go forward together, leaving none behind. Thank you, and God bless you.
Zbivanja svet nije bio u takvoj neizvjesnosti u kakvo je došao danas. Baš zato smatramo da svi mi ovdje
that we should all see to it that the activities of our organization and the manner in which they are carried out should always be in keeping with the spirit and the principles of the Charter and with the fundamental rights and sovereignty of each member state and of non-members as well. Otherwise, such activities would not serve their purpose and might well impair considerably the standing of the United Nations and the trust placed in the organization. Come here to heap more oil upon the fire, nor to side with any one of the extreme attitudes that may reflect present intense international relations. We have come with a desire above all to contribute as much as possible to the easing of world tensions and to express our belief that the 11th hour has struck to embark upon a new constructive course in international relations, upon a course of peaceful solutions of outstanding issues, a course of consolidation and of international cooperation based upon equality as well as upon peaceful active coexistence. We do not delude ourselves that any final solution can be found here and now in the United Nations to the major issues that constitute a permanent threat to world peace. It would, however, we feel, be a major success if the view prevailed at this session that everything should be done to prevent a further deterioration of the international situation and an aggravation of the Cold War atmosphere, that it the hopes that were aroused a year ago of a more substantial and more lasting easing of international tensions have unfortunately failed to materialize. In contrast to last year's session, which took place in the atmosphere of Camp David, an atmosphere of East-West negotiations, this year we are meeting in the shadow of the failure of the summit conference, of the breaking off of the Geneva disarmament talks, and of the continual postponements in achieving the essential agreement on the banning of nuclear and thermonuclear weapons tests. And crises arise, as in the case of the Congo, of Cuba, Laos, and West Irian, and seriously imperil world peace. As members of the United Nations, we cannot reconcile ourselves to such a state of... This is particularly justified in view of the powerful upsurge of national liberation movements in Africa and elsewhere, and more especially the recent events in the Congo, which do not concern that country alone, but Africa as a whole and the further development of independent African peoples. The process of national, economic, political, and cultural emancipation of former colonies is a historical necessity.
New and more dangerous types of weapons which are increasingly difficult to control appear every day. The circle of countries possessing such armaments is expanding. Therefore, it is erroneous to speak with regard to disarmament of the continuation of the arms race. Actually, This race is constantly gaining in speed, scope, and intensity. There are many ways of illustrating the absurd proportions assumed by the even more intense armaments race, as well as the extent of its negative consequences for mankind, but it is not my intention to do it here. The fact that the cost of a single B-17 super bomber is equal to the total assistance extended through the United Nations for the development of underdeveloped countries in the course of 1 year points clearly to the urgent need of abandoning the course now being pursued. That it is no longer sufficient to define war as a continuation of policy by other means. The orientation towards war for the solving of international disputes has become a component of a policy which is no longer capable of convincing otherwise than by threats or use of force. The fundamental principles of coexistence are really a living and creative interpretation of the spirit and principles of the Charter of our organization.